And I think about that. I think that since when you become rich, you'll be excluded from being heard. I think this country, it's just the rich people being heard. All America is like this. The rich people, they are the one that talk and see them on the TV all the time, and that's okay. And also, let's just look at what rich means in Iraq. Every Iraqi dinner, I don't know if a lot of people will wonder when she said that I'm getting paid 900,000 Iraqi dinners a month. That's a lot. That's about $70. That's enough to buy 3 chicken in Iraq. So when people are wealthy there, they maybe have like $50,000, and he's like super wealthy. But the poor, they would have like 3 cents a day to spend, 10 cents. So look at this average, and in the middle of this, just I don't know where this accusation came from, but whatever.
So the next question is from George Taylor, Veterans for Peace. Immediate withdrawal of U.S. forces is unlikely. What should the U.S. peace movement do in the meantime? The more years of occupation, however many. Yes.
This is an excellent question because in the U.S., it seems like the U.S. anti-war movement puts a lot of weight on the word immediate, versus the majority of Iraqis put a lot of weight on the word complete. So what Iraqis usually speak about is a negotiated, complete withdrawal. But I've never seen like Iraqis on media or like politicians splitting hairs about when would this withdrawal start, in 3 weeks or 22 days. Usually like this is the discussion that we end up having in the U.S. is that when would the withdrawal start, but then no one talks about when would it end. Okay, we'll start bringing 5 troops in 2 months. What about the other 300,000? When are they going to get out? So I think it's important to understand the dynamic in Iraq will not change if the occupation ended up being 1/4 of an occupation. It's not like Iraqis will have a meeting and they will be like, okay, now that it's 1/4 of an occupation, let's have 1/4 resistance, 1/4 violence. It won't work that way, right? So it's the violence and the destruction that is happening in Iraq will end once the U.S. withdraws completely. Now, to answer your question, I think the two real options that we have now is not staying there forever versus an immediate withdrawal. The two real options are either a withdrawal, either a complete withdrawal that will be negotiated with Iraqis, where the U.S. can put its terms for withdrawal and take a safe passage, or we will wait until a Vietnam-style withdrawal happens. Evacuation from rooftops happens. These are the things that will happen on the ground for real, because there is no occupation that lasts forever. So we can either end this occupation by negotiating with Iraqi counterparts who are ready to negotiate, whether they were Sunnis or Shiites or Kurds or secular or whatever. They are ready to negotiate to get their country back, to give the U.S. a safe passage out of Iraq. That's the better scenario that we will be asking for, instead of waiting until we reach to a military situation where the U.S. must leave there in 1 day or 2 days or whatever the timetable is.
I think that's just an important question that I want to address, which is, for me personally, I don't know a lot of politics. I'm an engineer. But I know that our life there can't continue with the tanks in front of our houses. You can't live with police, military police, just military people, and all these very heavy weapons that are around your kids. Definitely, I don't really care what's behind, how they will do it, and what's behind it, and what's the deal going to happen. But I really care that I want the Iraqis and myself, if I'm going back someday, and my family and my friends to have a life. They can just go on the street and have a coffee outside in a coffee shop. That's what I want. That's basic. That's basic, something everybody needs. And they can't do that now, and they will never be able to do it as long as there is military in the street. So, of course, they have to leave no matter how and no matter when they have to leave. And as soon as possible is better. Thank you.
And our final question, Michael Marcuscio. Do the Iraqi people know that most of the U.S. people want to bring the U.S. troops home and return Iraq to the Iraqi people?
Go there.
I feel I'm silencing the Dahr, so do you want to like...
I'll take the karma.
Yeah, I think that, like, the majority of Iraqis and Arabs and Muslims still believe and understand that there is a difference between the U.S. foreign policy and between the U.S. public. I mean, I think it needs a lot of patience and courage and understanding so that people, have this type of distinguish between that the majority of Americans are against the war, despite the fact that they are paying taxes for this, or like supposedly they have an elected government. So that's why, like many of my American friends who go to Iraq still get, received by Iraqi families in a hospitable way, and they're not blamed personally for the occupation. I mean, I think that's really good, and I hope we can do something about this occupation before this individual relationship between Americans and Iraqis collapses. And we should always think about the irony of how this administration and media tries to blame Muslims and Arabs for what happened in 9/11. And how some people actually buy that, like all Muslims are terrorist type of things, because Muslims didn't, they didn't vote for Al-Qaeda, they didn't pay taxes for Al-Qaeda, they didn't vote for Al-Qaeda again. So I mean, I really appreciate it when I see things on the Arab and Muslim media where they still distinguish very clearly that this is the U.S. foreign policy that is led by special interest groups, not by the majority of Americans who don't want to harm other people around the world and want to use their money for their own benefit, to build their own bridges and make their country better.
Can you repeat the question again?
Sure, we'll have Rard answer the question. Do the Iraqi people know that most of the U.S. people want to bring the U.S. troops home and return Iraq to the Iraqi people?
My answer to this question should be I should really...
We only have a few minutes.
All right.
1 minute.
1 minute.
1 minute.
All right. I just want to use this minute really to thank all of you, the ones that come here to listen and come here to learn, and the veterans that are really organizing this, and they're willing to come forward and putting their life in danger and talking about things they have done, and they are giving us more credibility to talk about it again. And I think you are the majority here, Americans, should we thank the people that are here and the people that are taking the time to listen on TV and all other outlets, because I know how time here is precious. And you took the time to do that, and that's really a good proof to me and to all Iraqis that's something that you are supporting the Iraqi people. And you are supporting that the majority of America is supporting that all of us should be just the troops of peace. We are people just like you. And what I want to someday to happen, to be able to invite my friends here to Iraq, to my family there, to see them. And what I really wanted to happen, that you to see how generous Iraqi people are. A lot of people there, they will say that it's more important for us to give you food and give you tea when you come to us than talk about the war. And I just want to say one more last thing, that you are people of America. You don't know Iraq enough. But I just want you to look at the faces of these people when you look in the news and see if my family there, when you go there, if when we will sit, me and you, at their table, which one they give food first, for you or to me? Thank you so much.